It's endurance time, 50 minutes of racing with a pit stop breather and a couple of driver changes. The number 55 Lamborghini is back on pole with John Seal behind the wheel. Let's go racing.
Thanks, Michelle, as the cars head off on their final formation lap. Let's have a look at the way the grid forms up. Pole position goes the way of the number 55 car of John Seal, and alongside it's going to be Lucky Cristoforo. Row 2 of the grid is Seamus Jennings and James Webb, and row 3 is going to be Graham DeZiel and Graham Tilley. The fourth row of the grid is number 21, Sam Randon and Brent Millage, with row 5 being the number 79 car of Steve Chandler, who lines up alongside Sander Mortensen. Row 6 is 44, that's Steve Ruston for part 1 of the race and Lucky Kira. Row 7 is Del Shelton and Frank Mortensen. Row 8 is Chris Murphy and David Franklin, and at the back of the grid is Mel Sandford. After changeable conditions here at Snetterton throughout the course of the weekend, it's finally dry. The cars are on slicks. John Seal and Lucky Cristoforo on the front row of the grid, heading up towards the red lights, which are on the gantry. The lights go out now. It's a good start from John Seal from pole position. Lucky Cristoforo just losing out and might lose out to Seamus Jennings here. Side by side for the lead of the race up towards Ritchie's. There's contact. Seamus Jennings is tipped into a spin. The Porsche spins backwards across the circuit, then back into the middle of the circuit, and everybody's having to brake either right or left in avoidance of the stricken Porsche, which thankfully has not been collected by anybody. Race continues. John Seal leads the race. Lucky Cristoforo in second place. Graham DeZiel in third place. It's James Webb in his Lamborghini that's there in fourth place. And as for Seamus Jennings, well, he has to finally get the car pointing in the right direction. Will continue round, but has got a huge amount of work to do now in this 50-minute pit stop race here at Snetterton that brings the curtain down on what's been a great weekend of racing for the GT Cup Championship. This is round 12 of the 2019 championship season, and John Seal is already looking to try and make good his escape at the wheel of the JMH Automotive Lamborghini. He leads the race as he heads out of Oggies for the first time. The Ferrari sitting there in second place is that of Lucky Cristoforo. Graham DeZiel in third place, James Webb in fourth, and then it's the Ginetta that's there in fifth position. That will be Sam Randon at the wheel of the number 21 Ginetta that sits there in fifth place. The number 3 Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis of Sander Mortensen under pressure from Lucky Kira's BMW in the early stages of this one, but the front pack of cars is just heading down in towards the braking area for Brundle and Nelson, and that includes that quick starting number 21 Ginetta in the hands of Sam Randon. He'll hand that car over to Josh Jackson for part 2 of the race. Graham Tilley coming under pressure from the sister team Hard Ginetta, which in the hands of Chris Prosser for the first part of the race. That's the number 79 car, and he's got Steve Ruston's McLaren not too far away. Up towards the braking area for Murray's for the first time they'll come. The leading pair already up the road, but in third position, Graham DeZiel coming under pressure from James Webb. The Lamborghini a little bit quicker coming out of the corner. Jinx to the left-hand side of the circuit. Is he going to be able to draw himself alongside the Ferrari? Can he get in front? Side by side up towards Ritchie's. Graham DeZiel protects the inside line, so James Webb is going to have to try and see whether he can unlock the door elsewhere to third position. Nothing doing now as they head in towards the braking area for Wilson this time. It's Lamborghini from Ferrari, Ferrari from Lamborghini, that being the top 4 in the early stages of this one. David Franklin trying to get up the inside of Chris Murphy's Aston Martin, can't quite squeeze his way through there, so still remains in the same place, with Frank Mortensen also not that far behind at the wheel of the Top Cats Racing Marcus Mantis. Some great fights going on all the way through the order in the early stages of this one, and the 2 Team Hard Ginettas working together as well. There's Lucky Kira, unfortunately unlucky for Lucky, he's out of the race at the wheel of the BMW and into retirement. Here comes Graham DeZiel through Brundle and Nelson. He's at the wheel of the Ferrari 488, new car for him this weekend. Sitting there still in what is third position, but under pressure from the Lamborghini Huracan in the hands of James Webb. That's not that far behind. They'll head round through Coram, on towards the brakes and up towards the left-hander at Murray's that concludes the lap. And here is Seamus Jennings at the wheel of the GCAT Racing Porsche, working his way back up through the order, having spun to the very tail end of the field. He's just going past Sam Randon's number 21 Ginetta. Is he going to make it through at the bomb hole? No, Sam turns across the nose of the Porsche. They are fighting for position, so he's entitled to do that. And now he might allow his teammate, Chris Proser, up the inside. There, out of the race is Sander Mortensen. He's put the Marcos into the barriers by the look of things and walks away from the stricken car. Out of Oggies comes the third place car, still in the hands of Graham Dazil, still under this intense pressure from James Webb. They head onto the Bentley Straight, and James Webb this time has got a much better exit onto the Bentley Straight, and he's going to go through surely to grab the position away. The momentum all the way down the Bentley Straight. Is it going to see the Lamborghini go through ahead of the Ferrari? Graham Dazil tries to fight back, but the job is done. Signed, sealed and delivered. It is James Webb now that puts the Lamborghini up ahead of the Ferrari, and the Ferrari will look to his mirrors and think, oh crumbs, Graham Tilley's not too far away either. Out of the bomb hole goes James Webb and his newly acquired position, turning his way round through Coram. And there's traffic just up the road as well that we'll need contending with before too much longer, and this could be the possibility where he might be able to break away from the car he's just taken the place away from. For the moment, he's already gapped by the look of things, that number 19 Ferrari, as they head over the start-finish line. Traffic being dealt with, stays neatly out of the way. Lucky Christoforou has just put a lap on Frank Mortenson's Marcos. That's the sole remaining Marcos we've got in the field now, following his son Sander Mortensen disappearing off and into the barriers. Graham Tilley's also now dealt with the traffic as well, so the squabbles can resume. As for our race leader John Seal, well, he has also got traffic to deal with as well. Just up the road is number 71 Del Shelton. Here's the McLaren that leads the championship overall coming into this weekend. Steve Ruston on board for the first part of the race. And here's the Group GT-A leading Ginetta of Chris Prosser at this stage of the race. He will hand the car over to Steve Chandler come the pit stop windows. Now, what's this? This is Lucky Christoforou running wide by the look of things at the Wilson hairpin and allowing James Webb to steal the place away into the pit. Pit stop window opens. The number 21 car of Sam Randon comes in to hand the car over to Josh Jackson. And also Lucky Christoforou enters the pit lane to hand over the number 27 Ferrari to Adam Carroll. This is going to be an important change for the team. They do, however, have 20 success seconds that they need to serve in this pit window. Out of the pit lane goes the number 55 Lamborghini. That's in the hands of Jamie Stanley now. Seamus Jennings also brings the GCAT Racing Porsche into the pit lane. Let's catch up with Lucky Christoforou, who's just finished behind the wheel of his Ferrari.
The Webbs come through on the last lap. It wasn't worth dicing because I knew I was coming in on this lap, so he got through, but no, it's a good race.
The pit stops continue. The Group GTB Porsche 911 of David Frankland is in. He will remain behind the wheel of it, but the number 79 Ginetta is about to be vacated by Chris Prosser and handed over to Stephen Chandler for part 2 of the race. Back out of pit lane goes Seamus Jennings, followed by the other Porsche we have in the field, which is David Frankland. Graham Tilley now also heads into pit road to conduct his mandatory pit stop, and we can see now that Seamus Jennings back out on circuit will be hugely keen to try and make amends for the problems that befell him at turn number 1. The Porsche is now ahead of Dan Dazil by the look of things. In the lead of the race is currently car number 13, which is James Webb. This is now the fight for second and third position, which is Seamus Jennings and Dan Dazil at the wheel of the Ferrari. So the order just shuffling around whilst we're in the pit window, but either way, Seamus Jennings has done a stunning job to bring that Porsche all the way up through the order, following spinning down to very last position at the very first corner of the race, following the contact between himself and the car that leads the race. It's in the hands of Jamie Stanley now, but John Seal, of course, took the start of the race. Here is the number 19 Ferrari 488 of Dan Dazil. He's taken the car over from his father, looking to try and see whether he can stay with Seamus Jennings at the wheel of that Porsche. They work their way onto the Bentley Straight, but for the moment, Seamus Jennings is pulling away, and it's not surprising because his car runs in Group GTO. The Ferrari behind runs in Group GTC. In towards the braking area for Brundle and for Nelson. Still in second place is Seamus Jennings. Can he hang on to it though for the rest of the race, because there are other cars that have pitted that have had success seconds that will now look to try and work their way back through the order. Seamus Jennings had 11 success seconds to serve in his pit window. That's Frank Mortensen. We've already seen an off for the sister car to it, a harmless spin for Frank. This is the car that now leads Group GTH, safely in the hands of John Whitehouse. We've seen Steve Ruston and John Whitehouse do great things so far this season. They've claimed group victories in all bar 2 races really this season. That's the Group GTA leading Ginetta, now in the hands of Steve Chandler. That's another car that's gone well so far this season. And here is David Franklin, who currently leads Group GTB. Last pit stop just taking place almost, leading the race by the best part of 45 seconds now is Jamie Stanley. The other Lamborghini of James Webb in the pit lane now is about to rejoin. And where is James Webb going to feed his way back out onto circuit? He'll have dropped back down through the order as a result of serving his 15 success seconds, and he's not quite going to get up to speed before Adam Carroll at the wheel of the Ferrari comes through. So that will mean that Adam Carroll goes through and ahead of the Lamborghini of James Webb. And if James Webb wants to try and grab the place back, he's going to have to work very, very, very hard, because Adam Carroll is a hugely experienced professional racing driver. For the lead of Group GTH is hotting up as well, because John Whitehouse and his McLaren have now been caught by Josh Jackson in the Ginetta that sits directly behind. The two of them almost pushing each other around Coram as they head up towards the conclusion of another lap. This is going to be the car that leads Group GTA at this stage. That is Steve Chandler at the wheel of the second of the two Ginettas that Team Hard have entered this weekend. And here's another good Group GTH battle as well. It's for 10th and 11th place overall. Chris Murphy in the Aston Martin under pressure from the Porsche Cayman in the hands of Brent Millage. For the moment, though, the Aston Martin just has the upper hand as they head out of Williams and along the Bentley Straight. Doesn't matter where you look in Group GTH, there are good fights at the moment. John Whitehouse, this time maybe a bit more daylight between himself and the number 21 Ginetta of Josh Jackson. That's not to say that Josh has lost a great deal of daylight between the pair of them. And there is James Webb, the Lamborghini on the grass on the outside of the circuit. Here comes Seamus Jennings being chased by Dan Dazil up towards the braking area for Ritchie's corner. But it's still going to be Seamus Jennings in second place, Dan Dazil in third position. Here's that fight again for third and fourth in Group GTH. Brent Millage unlocking the door. He's going to squeeze his way through and ahead of Chris Murphy with a great move as they went up towards Hamilton. Chris just left the door open and Brent had no second thoughts. Through he goes at the wheel of the Porsche Cayman and moves up to third now in Group GTH. Chris Murphy down to fourth in the group and down to 11th now overall in the race. Millage already looking to try and build the momentum. Now there's a 5-second stop-go penalty here for Seamus Jennings. The pit stop was deemed to be too short, and as a result of that, that Porsche that runs second on the road is going to have to head into the pit lane for a 5-second stop-go penalty. That's been served. He rejoins the circuit, and all of that hard work he's done means that he will rejoin now in fourth position. So Dan Dazil will have gone through, and also now Adam Carroll at the wheel of the other Ferrari will have gone through. On the last lap, it looks as though as they head up towards the checkered flag, it's going to be a win for Jamie Stanley, who brings the number 55 Lamborghini over the start-finish line to take the checkered flag for himself and John Seal and the JMH Automotive team. They will be hugely, hugely pleased with that. It's a win for John Seal and Jamie Stanley. Second are the Dazils, and third place goes the way of Lachy Christoforou and Adam Carroll. Seamus Jennings was fourth in the end, with Graham Tilley in fifth and James Webb in sixth place. The championship leaders, John Whitehouse and Steve Ruston in seventh. Sam Randon and Josh Jackson in eighth, ahead of Steve Chandler and Chris Prosser, with Brent Millage completing the top 10. Chris Murphy was 11th. David Franklin won Group GTB in 12th, ahead of Del Shelton and Frank Mortensen. They were the last of the finishers. It's Steve Rushton and John Whitehouse that lead the championship, still by 19 points from Lachy Christoforou and Adam Carroll in second place. John Seal and Jamie Stanley still lead Group GTO as they're there in third. Tom and James Webb are in fourth. And in fifth place, it's the Group GTA leading pair of Chris Prosser and Steve Chandler. Richard Chamberlain is sixth. Then it's the Dazils in seventh. And David Franklin leads Group GTB, but sits there in eighth place overall. Sam Randon and Josh Jackson are in ninth place. And Brent Millage completes the top 10 in the championship standings.
How was that race for you?
Really good. You know, John did a really solid start. I had a really easy race at the end and just stayed out of trouble with the rain at the very end.
For me, once I got out in the lead, I just kept an eye on the mirror and they seemed to be going backwards or I was going forwards, and it was great. It was quite straightforward and quite easy, really. So all was good.
How did you find that race?
Yeah, a lot better than the sprint race this morning. There was a lot of grip out there to begin with. Didn't spin it on the outlap this time either, so a lot better. But yeah, overall, me and Chris both had really good pace, and we had better pace than some of the others as well that were supposed to be ahead of us. So yeah, good weekend. And then it started to rain towards the end of it and got very, very slippery towards the end of it. So, but yeah, overall, very good race. So, yeah, perfect.
Good on you. Well, that's it from Snetterton. We hope you've enjoyed this weekend's racing. Some great results for our drivers across the groups, in spite of the weather. Do join us next time, where we will be rolling into Silverstone. Hopefully it'll bring some sunshine. We'll see you then.